I'm Petal, and today I'm going to be continuing a series that I started where I randomly pick a doll line. I made a list, and then I randomly pick one off and I talk about it because there's so many doll lines out there and I feel like some of them do not get the attention that they deserve. So I started randomly doing it, and I have already talked about Radio Disney Dreamers, something like that, whatever this doll is right here, and that one and that one. I also talked about Makeys. I don't have those. This line that I will be talking about today is another line that I don't have. It's called Rose Petal Place. I thought when I first started collecting it was called Palace. It is not called Rose Petal Palace. But yeah, I'm going to be talking about them. I don't own them, nor am I super knowledgeable. I just did a little research. I don't research a lot of my dolls unless I already have them, because it seems like a lot of work. No, it'll make me want them, but I decided that I think it'll be fine. So I'm going to be discussing them, and like the other videos, if there's something that if you have information, I am 100% open to any information that you have. Like I said, I'm doing like very basic, bare minimum research on the doll lines that I've done, whatever kind of information I can find on like databases and stuff. So if you have more information that you want to tell me, I'm always quite excited and happy to learn. But nonetheless, let's begin in talking about these dolls. I'll insert a few photos because obviously I don't own them, so I can't be super knowledgeable with them or like show you them up close like I was able to do with my Radio Disney Pop Dreamer dolls. I have seen them go on eBay for relatively decent prices. If you want it brand new in box, you're gonna have to pay a decent price. They were a little bit older dolls, but let's begin. I'll put in a little bit of like my thoughts on them, but I want to also give you some knowledge about them, I guess. If you see me looking down, it's because I'm looking at my computer, which has a little bit of information that I saved. But let's begin. So Rose Petal Place, I have to keep saying place, or I will say Palace, is a doll line that was created in 1984 by the company known as Kenner. Kenner is most notably known for, at least I know them really well from Strawberry Shortcake, which actually has a very similar theming to Rose Petal Place, which is probably what they wanted to market off of, is my only assumption. Okay, I wanted to quick look up what else Kenner is known for. They're known for making Blythe, Baby Alive, obviously Strawberry Shortcake because I talked about that, and then Glamour Gals. Did Kenner make My Little Pony? Kenner and My Little Pony, sorry. I had to look, okay? Am I just making that up? Okay, first of all, I was actually not talking about My Little Pony. I looked it up. And I think they did have some sort of part in making My Little Pony, but I was talking Littlest Pet Shop. They made the original. Is it like the weird ones? Yeah, they don't look like the OGs. Okay, I just want to make sure because I know that Blythe was made by Kenner, and then later on Blythe did like a partner with Littlest Pet Shop, and I thought that was really cool. So yes, we're not talking about My Little Pony. You're like, no, you're crazy. But it did tell me that My Little Pony was made by Kenner. Okay, before we go back to the Rose Petal Place, I'll give you a little bit of insight, literally just Googling a few things. Just a little bit of insight on Kenner before we continue. I got distracted, okay? I was like, did Kenner make My Little Pony? And then I was like, when did they buy it? Okay, so Kenner was founded, the toy company Kenner was founded in 1946. And they're most notably known for making Star Wars action figures, Jurassic Park and Batman action figures. And then in 1991 is when Hasbro acquired or purchased Tonka Corporation, which included Kenner, and subsequently merged Kenner's products line into Hasbro. So if that helps you out. I don't know what Tonka Corporation, I kind of want to look up who they are. Do they make other things too? Anyways, kind of neat note. Back to Rose Petal Place, I was talking about the Strawberry Shortcake dolls, which Kenner also is pretty famously known for creating and having. And I said that they're very similar to Rose Petal Place because if you don't know, the concept of Strawberry Shortcake is that there are a bunch of characters and each one has a food themed name, and then they smell like their name or they smell like food and treats. And Rose Petal Place is dolls who are like flower themed and they smell like flowers. I kind of want to know, like I really want one of the dolls to be able to know how strong they are, because I do have a few scented dolls and like they still smell very nice, like very strong. And I know people who collect Strawberry Shortcake say that the Strawberry Shortcake dolls that are like created in like the 80s, they still smell really strong. So I'm curious to how strong they smell. But in case you're curious, Strawberry Shortcake was created in 1970 as greeting card characters and then was released in merchandise, dolls and merchandise, there we go, was released in 1979. I also believe is a Holly Hoppy was also a greeting card. That's just so interesting that people are like, oh, let's take the greeting card and make it into a real doll. Fascinating. I love that. Anyways, so some of the different dolls that were a part of Rose Petal Place, literally get back on track to talking about the Rose Petal Place, please. Okay, there was Rose Petal, which I can only assume was the main character. There's Sunny Sunflower, Iris, Lily Fair, Daffodil, Orchid, and then Nastina, is that her name? Is supposed to be like nasty, or is it based off, is that a flower? Am I just dumb? I don't know. Which, those are the characters. I think the only ones, the one villain, the Nastina, whatever her name is, did not get a doll that I could find. Actually, no, I think she did. Doll. Yeah, okay, she got like a figure maybe. I don't know if I'd consider that a doll. It might be just a figure. Anyways, so here is what I could find about these dolls, and I'm just very fascinated with like merch and stuff, so we're gonna talk about that. Okay, so why were the dolls created, you might ask? What was the reason? Was it just a doll line that they decided to create? And they decided to create a show, and then they created the dolls inspired by the show. Okay, so I wrote a lot down, so apologies. I will try to not just stare at my screen. So it says there's an American produced animated film from 1984 that was produced to go alongside the dolls. Rather, the dolls were to go alongside the film. There were other merch that was produced, including a lunchbox, books, games, stickers, and various fashion packs for the dolls, which I thought was really cool. I could find quite a few different nude dolls online actually for decent prices, like under 20, and then some fashion packs that were under 20, which is nice. So like if you want to get the fashion packs to display them, there are dolls for it. Could I find all of the fashion packs for that? No, but I could find a few, especially if like I were to get a lot, like a whole bunch of them at once, and then half of them came nude. I thought that was neat. I didn't know that they made fashion packs. I don't know how many are out there. There could only be like 3, but I thought the fashion packs were cute. Okay, the animated film was 22 minutes long. In 1985, there was a second film that was released called Rose Petal Place Real Friends, and it introduced 6 new characters, which Kenner did create, and there are stock photos of, but they were never released. And then the line was discontinued, I assume in 1985, or the year that the first dolls came out. There was, okay, I wrote down some other merch. There were 3 books that had 3 books that were accompanied with tapes. 6 books without cassette tapes. There we go, it was cassette. I was like, what is that word? 1 panorama. Is panorama a word? Book. Panorama. Book. I wrote it, so it has to be. and 4 coloring books, as well as a record in 1984 that they released an album with Marie Osmond reprising her role as Rose Petal. Okay, so they had the film, and in case you didn't know, Marie Osmond reprised her role as Rose Petal. That was who she voiced. I think that's really neat. I feel like Marie Osmond does a lot. She has a Barbie. Does she have 2? But I swear she has other doll lines. Is that correct? I was gonna look it up, but we're talking about Rose Petal Place today, not Marie Osmond. I just think that's really neat. I thought that was cool. So talking about the dolls are 6 inches and a quarter, or all the eBay listings, I believe, just say 6 inches, but I like to know that information, okay? They have articulation at the shoulder, neck, hip. Is that it? Yeah. And then I think that's 5 points. Is that 5 points for articulation? So that's like a fashionista body, but they're little dolls. There were the 6 main characters, and then the villain was created. At least I can find eBay listings of that one. The dolls came with a purse, comb, and posing stand, which I love when little dolls come with stands because they're kind of hard to display, and a lot of times not every stand fits them. So I like when little dolls come with stands. Anyways, in 1990, I know this is not talking about the dolls, but it's kind of the dolls. It's if you're looking on eBay and you see these and you're like, I don't recognize that doesn't look like what it is. In 1990, the Rose Petal Place molds were reused to create the short-lived Bubble Bells line, which they do actually look pretty neat. And I actually had no clue what those dolls were, so I now get to add them to my wish list, which is neat. Specifically about the dolls, so the dolls included a teardrop shape that was like a little rhinestone on their hat, which is explained in the Rose Petal Place storyline. So they had the little rhinestone teardrop on, which is explained in the storyline, but each of the dolls have it, which is really neat. And I'm gonna read a little excerpt from what specifically it says, okay? So it says, it's long. Long ago, on a day in May, a young girl had to go away and leave her lovely garden fair with no one to tend to it, no one to care, so the child cried and her teardrop fell. It was as though they cast a spell, for they touched the petal of a rose, and magically so, the story goes, the rose and others came alive. Now it's here they live and here they thrive, in Rose Petal Place. There's a garden of love to share. So that is like the story. I think it's really cool that there's some stuff. I love doll merch and I like books, so if I ever come across them, maybe I'll pick them up. Anything else did I write? Probably. Okay, and then on a website that I found, which I will try to link below the websites that I use to find information here, but somebody wrote like their like mottos and like what each doll is for, which is always really exciting, so I will read them to you here. So it says, Orchid is the status seeker of the group. Her motto is, when the going gets tough, the tough go shopping, which is kind of cute. Rose Petal is the star of the garden. She is pretty and talented. The only thing brighter than her sunny personality is her beautiful singing voice. Lily Fair is a dreamer who dreams is to be a world-renowned dancer. She is sincere and dedicated and practiced pirouettes and plies while the others are fast asleep. Daffodil is the garden business whiz. She's busy running the bouquet boutique, but still finds time to put together a business deal or two on the side. I'm kind of curious on like what the show is, or the movies, the 2, right? They made 2, and if I can watch them anywhere. I guess I could quick Google that. So Iris is the resident artist and a shy, creative flower friend. She's always trying to paint a still life of flowers at Rose Petal Place, but none of the flowers will sit still. And lastly, there's Sunny Sunflower is Rose Petal's best friend, and as it so often the case with best friends. They are opposites in many ways. Sunny Sunflower is outspoken, Rose Petal is diplomatic. So that's a little bit of information on the characters. I did a quick like eBay search for them, and like I said, they were not insanely expensive, but definitely in box you're gonna pay around $100, maybe even more. I don't actually remember, but I think these dolls are pretty neat. They're not the most highest priority on my list. I've always talked about how like I go, oh, I don't really like smaller size dolls, and then I fall in love with them. Example, like obsessed. So I have no place to talk when it comes to the dolls, okay? But they're not the most like I don't need them as much as I do some other dolls. That's not to say I don't like them, but I feel like old dolls kind of scare me because I don't like the idea of like, it's old, I could break it. And I know these are from, what did I say, like 1984. It's not that bad, but that is like 40 years old. Yeah, maybe a little older than 40 years old. But they're still nonetheless very cute. I do really like them. I think they're very adorable. Hopefully I inserted a few photos of these. According to the quickest Google search ever, it's possibly on Amazon. Like, you have to purchase it on Amazon. It's not free with your subscription. And then maybe on Hulu, and it also might be on this added subscription. But I did look, and you can watch it on YouTube, at least the first one. The first one is fully on YouTube, which is always nice. So keep that in mind. I'm looking at the dolls. Just casually. And like I said, I think they're quite cute. They remind me of something, and it's not the bubble ones, because I don't recognize that, but I think that they're really cute. They're adorable. I like flower themed dolls, which is fun. So I can't help it. I don't know who my favorite is though. I don't know if I have a favorite. Okay, I feel like personally my biggest thing with these dolls on why they might not be like the most exciting to me, because I still do want them in my collection, especially if there's only 6/7 with the villain characters. I would 100% like go after them. It'd be different if there's like a million of them, then I'd only pick a few because they're not the most exciting to me. But with there only being like 6 or 7, I don't think that would be like horrendous to get all of them. I would have a perfect place to display them. They'd be lovely on my shelves. But I think the biggest reason why I don't obsessively love them, and I would probably replace some of the outfits with fashion packs, is I feel like either the designers did not know what they were doing with outfits, and I hate to say that because like, I don't want to be mean, but like half the clothing does not look like it fits the dolls. Like, it's either baggy or like one of them, like it's like completely down here. So like the whole doll's chest is like exposed, and I thought maybe like, oh, it's just like over time like it fell down in the box, but like that's how it is in like stock photos. And like, I don't know, it just, some of them do not look like they're actually wearing clothing that fits, and it looked like they were just like, let's toss this on and then we'll pin it up and sew it in a few places and it'll be fine. And it's just a piece of like fabric, which is not the most exciting. Like, I feel like some of the outfits, some of them are really cute, like some of them are super like, they look super flowery, which is what I want. I want a doll that looks like they are literally wearing a plant, but some of them are not, and some of them are just a piece of fabric thrown on them, which I think is why there are some of the characters I'm like, I don't really want that outfit, especially the one whose full chest is revealed. Is it a boy doll? I don't think so. I'm talking about, who are you? Iris. I'm talking about Iris. Some of the photos, the chest is not fully exposed, but in other photos it is, and I just don't think that the outfit properly fits the doll. I also am not a big fan of Daffodil's outfit, is to be if we're being mean right now. There's a few others that bother me. I think like the best one is probably Rose Petal, and then I saw, who are you? Sunny? It's gotta be Sunny. Where are you? Yeah, Sunny Sunflower. Rose Petal and Sunny Sunflower have the best outfits. They're giving flower. They're giving gorgeous. Some of the others are not my most favorite. Some of the fashion packs are cute. Like, there's the jumper fashion pack that one of them's wearing. That one's pretty cute. It's not giving plant, like I put a plant on today, but it is giving adorable, which is all that I need. Anyways, I know I was a bit of a Debbie Downer today, so I apologize, but it's just my thoughts. I don't have anything else to say, so if you want to add anything in or tell me that I'm wrong, you can. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts in the video. But yeah, bye.